Hello, boys and girls. I greet you from cool Helsinki, in the sense that the last time I checked it was plus 9 degrees there. Happy to be here in so many words. The weather is nice and I've been listening to the previous presentations with keen interest as a translation studies major and a maker of AGI. What we do at Curious AI is advanced, well, basically as advanced AI as you can get. That's what we at least posit. So we are trying to build the artificial general intelligence, as they say. We've been at it since 2007, if you will. Our previous startup fielded the first semi-supervised AI ever in the real world. And we've been cooking our latest baby, Curious AI, for 3 years now, almost to the date. And we are now coming up with our first customer pilots. So for the first 2.5 years, we did what you were just advised not to do. So we burned a cool couple of millions and 2 years in actually building some AI stuff, and now we are fielding it, so you don't need to. So there's 25 of us guys. Most of us have served our time in the Silicon Valley, and we're happy to be away from there, back in Europe, productively at that, and we're based in Helsinki. Now, what I figured I'd tell you today is why would you need to solve documents of all things with AI, and why would you need or want to do it right now, today? The problem with documents is they are made by humans, for humans, and the more you make documents, the more they kind of reproduce. Typically, you need to passive-aggressively reply to a document sent to you by sending another document that way. So, amazingly, still in 2018, typically, if you think you're doing knowledge work, you're either inputting data somewhere or trying to somehow decipher the data you've been sent by somebody else. So you're basically moving data between IT systems. It's not the future I was promised. So why we should today automate all of this? Well, you would say we should automate IT. IT has failed in the sense that it's not really automatic. Well, I posit that it's now available. Technologies are there, and some of the technologies can get you halfway. I don't know how many of you have heard about robotic process automation? Some, I see like 10 hands. That's one mechanism you can use, or one brand of software that you can use to get along, but certainly it doesn't get you all the way there if you're looking to automate your business processes or industrial processes. And sometimes it falls short too. There's the number from that one. So that's when you would need to field some further advanced AI. And advanced AI is there, advanced AI can help you, and if you have the data, it's something you should do. If you don't have the data, don't worry. The AIs, or the AI technologies that you can these days get, they are all so advanced that you don't actually need to pull those, let's say, years and years of big data, massive exabytes of this and that. You can do with much less these days. Now, 80% of enterprise data, as we already heard, it's unstructured. That's why I like to bring up invoices. Invoices are something we started from as Curious AI with our pilot products. So initially, we came up with a set of technologies, set of AI, shall we say, patented technologies that were used for image recognition and industrial control, heavy stuff like that. But then we realized that, okay, most people don't perhaps do these things. What do most people do? Well, they, at least in the B2B setting, they deal with invoices. So we figured, why not automate invoices? Invoices are a knowledge work task. Invoices can be automated in part or fully. And they are like a gateway to understanding more difficult documents. I'll show you a few. This is how you do invoice handling typically, like a random standard company. So you read them, you do something with them, typically you assign them like accounting codes if you're going to put them in your books. then you perhaps describe what was just done, and maybe have some other people say that okay, it's okay to pay this, and they actually pay it, and so on. It needs to be automated in steps. So first you need to understand, as we just heard, the documents, not just read them, but fully understand them. Then you need to assign some kind of accounting codes, or perhaps like VAT codes, what would you like to do actually with the data. That's pretty easy, it's doable. If you needed some descriptions, then we get into like hard AI territory. If you actually need a computer to describe what has been done, or what this actually is, that's probably the hardest thing you can try to do with AI these days. If you try to understand what the value of doing all this is, then you definitely hit the nail on the head. That is the hardest thing to do with AI. It's possible, it's doable. It's just going to be really, really hard and probably expensive as well. Risks, you can analyze risks, for example, related to invoice handling. That's doable, but there are risks in analyzing risks, so most people don't go down that way. Well then, when it comes to actually performing the finance transactions, we consider it up north in the Nordic countries, it's trivial. I've heard that in some other jurisdictions it's not so trivial to actually perform the financial transactions once you've received invoices. Now what we actually did, I promised to keep this somehow concrete. We try to make documents that are not structured and they are not computer friendly. We try to make them computer friendly. This is a very structured, very good document for a human. You can find like funky stuff there, like logos, symbols. The items are neatly in lines. There are sums, and there are like some subtractions like taxes, and there are even like well wishes and signatures and stuff like that. It's all perfectly normal to humans, especially if you're in business. Computers don't really see it that way. Typically, regardless of how you read this in, it's going to be horrible. Even if you somehow got it into a nice database, it still wouldn't turn out to be nice, structured information the way it is for humans. The result is that if you are bound by a business process which has people first drafting documents and then sending them and perhaps asking for money in those documents, the automation is going to be slightly difficult. I'll give you an example from Finland. We try to think Finland is highly advanced in this sense. Since '99, the businesses have been sending each other e-invoices, and like a whopping 40% of all invoices a couple of years ago already, they were fully electronic in Finland. Now, it just doesn't work. Don't quote me on this, but a couple of people or companies who are active in this business, they just asked us for an AI system which would help them to understand the Excel format. Turns out these things are surprisingly difficult. They are in fact super difficult because they are humans communicating with other humans, and then the computer just somehow got in the middle. You can do a lot of machine learning or deep learning tricks to actually solve this problem. You can take a neural network, you can teach it with the invoice data. Actually, the way we do it, we just tell our customers to dump us, like, you're not really sitting on like a secret document pile. Those are invoices other people have sent to you, so why don't you just send us what you got last year, all of your invoices from last year, and we'll take it from there. Call you back in a few weeks. That's the same way, shall we go the MVP way to go at it. No like IT processes whatsoever. And then once you get like a working neural network together, then the people who actually use the system, they can start training or further training the neural network. And the good thing is, if you got advanced enough algorithms in there, there are not that many training cycles you need. So the end result could be happy, in the sense that the AI system understands when the results are not reliable. It can communicate that, okay, this is perhaps not like a dollar sign, could this be a euro sign? And then the human goes like, yes, no, and everybody's happy ever after. For us, uncertainty and uncertainty representation, uncertainty recognition, that's the key for our company. That's where we put multiple man-years in research and also in protecting and patenting this. We think once the neural network is capable of understanding the uncertainties and then representing how uncertain and in which ways the results are, then there's a lot of happiness in the end for everybody. For example, if you think about the documents I just showed to you, the system should perhaps first find all line items in an invoice, then only the line items, perhaps not the well-wishes and so on, and then segment the descriptions for the line items from the sums, recognize if they are like bats and whatever, possibly identify if there are multiple currencies. A lot of like, in itself, non-trivial steps, and when you pile them up, like you need to get all of them right at the same time, the odds are against the computer system. Now the way we did one of these systems is hiding it. The end users, we just call it the fluid UI, because the end user, if it works, end user doesn't see it. They are using some enterprise invoice, whatever handling system they have. Could be SAP, could be the Norwegian powerhouse Visma, which nobody has heard about outside the Nordic countries, or some other system, and they just keep on using it the way they've been using it, and magically some portion of the invoices they typically handle themselves, the system just handles them. And there could be another proportion of the invoices, and for those, the system might have one or two questions and then fix it. The solution understands human-written documents. We started from invoices and we're moving to more difficult documents. And this is the way it works. You find interesting named entities, you approximate the recognition, take candidates out of them, use keyword lists, categorize, and go nuts. The amusing thing, at least for me, and for quite a few other people, is that it really takes cutting-edge AI to solve such a fairly trivial IT problem. But in the end, most everybody's happy. Actually, the tagline for the company we founded previously, the company is called Zen Robotics, and we founded in 2007, and the tagline goes, replacing humans since 2007. We've been in this business for more than 10 years. We like to replace humans. Now the end result for the workforce is that there's more time for interesting, challenging tasks, perhaps more free time in the sense of being laid off. There's less tedious manual work. For the enterprise, employees are typically happier. You may even have some new business opportunities. And for the IT systems department, the happy thing is perhaps they don't need to do it themselves. Somebody else just does it for them. And this is the option for a customer. The customer I'm talking about here is an IPR agency inside the EU. They field a very difficult business case in the sense that they get invoices from more than 200 sources, 100 plus countries. They can see an automation percentage of 80-something%. So they are so far happy with the system. And the upshot is that 30% of the invoices are handled automatically. Of the remaining 70%, 30% of those, turning points, are like one-click fixes, and the remainder, like half of the remaining, are like two-click fixes. So in the end, you end up with like 1/5 of the stuff actually needs to be handled manually. I guess that's like the long and short of it, what AI gets you in the end. It doesn't like get you laser pistols or flying cars, it gets you invoice handling process, which is like, I don't know, 1/5 of what you used to have. There's a lot of more advanced and interesting technologies we could talk about. I'm happy to take those questions from you afterwards, since we are running out of time. And that's about it.